All right, today we're going to be talking about why the minimum wage should be raised in America. We're going to talk about 3 points, me and my partner. One, that poverty is a problem in America and it goes against Americans' values. 2, minimum wage earners are not earning enough to survive in America. And 3, that raising the minimum wage would allow for new opportunities for minimum wage workers. Back to my first point, that poverty goes against Americans' values for happiness. Currently, half of the U.S., or sorry, not currently, in 2011, half of the U.S. qualified as low income. That's according to the U.S. Census. Also according to the U.S. Census, 20% of all children in America live in poverty. And I think everyone agrees that, having children in poverty is usually a bad thing. President Obama in the latest State of the Union said that no one who works full-time should have to live in poverty. And a Kennebec University poll in January found that 71% of Americans are in favor of raising the minimum wage. On my second point, that minimum wage earners are not earning enough to survive. According to the Wall Street Journal, a single mother who works full-time on the current minimum wage would have earnings below the federal poverty line. And even McDonald's put out a sample budget to show that minimum wage earners can live on minimum wage. But after reviewing the sample budget they put out, one reporter said, "Whoever wrote the thing seems to have been literally incapable of imagining how a fast food employee could survive on minimum wage income." Just to give you an idea of what ridiculous things they put in this sample budget, you would have, if you worked 2 minimum wage jobs, you would have $27 per day for gas and groceries. And that's if you have $0 on your heating bill and $600 in rent, which is less than half the current national average for an apartment. And that's if you have $20 a month for rent, or for health insurance, sorry, compared to McDonald's health insurance, which is $14 a week. 44% of homeless people in America have minimum wage jobs, and this is because in no state in America can you make minimum wage and rent a 2-bedroom apartment. In New York City, you would have to work 80% of your time, not including sleep, on minimum wage to afford rent a 2-bedroom apartment. And in Hawaii, you would actually have to work 104% of your time, or 4.5 full work weeks per week, to afford rent in a 2-bedroom apartment. On my third point, that raising the minimum wage allows for new opportunities for minimum wage earners. If we rate, so from the mid-1960s up until the early 80s, minimum wage workers earned a wage equal to roughly 1/2 of the average American worker. Today's minimum wage is only 36% of the average worker wage, and that's according to the Economic Policy Institute. If we raise the federal minimum wage to $10.10 per hour, it would return the federal minimum wage to roughly the same inflation-adjusted value as it had in the late 1960s, which is $10.74. And there's a stereotype that if we raise the minimum wage, there's a stereotype that minimum wage workers are only teenagers, and that people don't actually rely on minimum wage to earn money for a household because, people think that they're teenagers or supplemental income. But according to the Economic Policy Institute, only 1 in 8 minimum wage earners are teenagers, and more than 1/3 of them are in their 20s. And that leaves more than half of minimum wage earners over 30. More than half of these minimum wage workers are full-time workers, and they earn on average half of their family's income, which means that which means that the money that these minimum wage workers are earning is the money that their family depends on, rather than what people usually think of as supplemental income for a family. And so an increase to $10.10 would return a full-time minimum wage income sorry. An increase to $10.10 would return the minimum wage income to a level sufficient to protect a family of 3 from poverty, up from a single mother in America not being able to earn enough to support 1 child. She can support 2 instead. So I think that's why we should raise the minimum wage in America.